So, are the Hawks going to rebuild? Are they going to trade everything away? Or are they going to keep promising Trae things that they can accomplish? I know that sounds harsh, and I know that's probably not what they want to hear their fan base. But honestly, it's the reality of the situation where even though we do see it in this light, we probably should acknowledge that the Hawks are doing pretty bad. First, I want to say the Hawks are good, have been good. And this problem with them, I think, mostly stems from the fact that they just can't go anywhere without support. They're a team which is heavily aided by the fact that they have a generational superstar in Trae Young. And yes, I said that. I'm sorry, but it's true. A guy who averages 28 and 10 every single season and has been doing it consistently, meanwhile carrying your offense completely, is a generational superstar. Like that's exactly what Allen Iverson did, and Allen Iverson is held as a superstar, as one of the greatest point guards of all time, etc., etc., etc. And he didn't even have the assist numbers to back it up. He could just score a bunch of points and dime on a few possessions. Trae Young this season is averaging 27 points, 11 assists, on 42% from the field and 36% from three. Meanwhile, having a steal and a half a game. He is insane. Amazingly good, and I honestly think that the Hawks have done a terrible job at, being the people to support him. In my opinion, Trae Young is not the problem. He's been an Atlanta Hawk for his entire career. He didn't choose that they traded for him as he was drafted by the Mavericks. And honestly, the entire process of him being a Hawk has been pretty successful. This is because, and the reason why I say this is because this, for Trae Young at least, has been an amazing run. Trae Young has fully shown that he is capable of running an offense, has made it to the point where he is a respected point guard, and even if he does get a lot of hate, especially due to his demeanor, I do believe that Trae Young has shown to any logical person who doesn't hate him that he is a point guard, which for most teams would be amazing. He is great, and honestly, I do believe that if he would have a star next to him, then he could actually do something bigger than just what he's doing right now with his time. The reason why I say that is because honestly, when we look at guys like Trae Young who have been so good and so developed for such a long time and who are carrying their teams in the way that he is, I believe that a lot of his inefficiencies come from his system. Yes, he gets steals. He's not a great defender, but honestly, his team hasn't put that many great defenders around him. DeJounte Murray is a guy who focuses on steals, and when he did make an all-defensive team, he was a role player trying to get into the starting lineup who was told to play defense so he could get into the starting lineup. Then, and as soon as he became an offensive player, he kind of led the defense behind just becoming like a steals guy. Apart from that, you have guys around him who do not compliment him in the way that he should, right? I do believe that this young kid who has come out recently in that squad has been great. I think that they are a great pairing, but what Trae Young really needs is another star. Even if they lose for a few years, I feel like it's better having two stars which are losing, right, as opposed to having, a mid-team which is being middle of the pack. The kid who I'm talking about is Jalen Johnson. He's been absolutely on a tear this season, averaging 15 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block. Meanwhile, having 57% from the field and 40% from three, right, with only 2 turnovers to his name. The reason why he's been so good is because of Trae Young. And this kid is really opportunistic, and I think that he should be the most improved player as he went up 10 points in his scoring output. And just that. Apart from that, I do believe that the Hawks have been maximized by Trae Young. Every single season, he makes players which are not that good look much better due to how much he raises the ceiling for that team. And I believe that he's been formally abused because of how good he is to that franchise. He is a great player. He's a phenomenal player. But when you see him and you see what he does and you see, the way that he carries himself, he's been nothing but good for the Hawks. He's never complained. He's never had one of these flare-ups. All he has is that he gets mad at his coaches because they probably are too hard on him for losing games when he's trying his best. Last season, he beat Boston in 2 games in the playoffs. And in my opinion, Trae Young has been one of the best players at just being good and consistent for his team. We're in a league where a lot of the superstars are not really consistent. I feel like Trae Young has been one of those guys which, even if his team is burning down in flames, you know that Trae Young will be there trying to win every single game. Now, is this the praise that he gets? Absolutely not. And is this the praise that he should get? Absolutely not. Because apart from that, he does have his deficiencies. Now, with that being said, Trae Young is amazing, and I do believe that has a bright way to go. But what he really needs is a superstar. Trae Young needs a superstar urgently. And I'm not saying that just to say so he can win games. No, even if he loses with a superstar, because Trae Young right now is being mistreated. Trae Young is going to get remembered as a decent shooter, who shot from very deep, missed a lot of shots, and was forced by his team, to play a very, 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 very possession-heavy, ISO-heavy basketball. But Trae Young could be so much more than that. I feel like Trae Young right now is if you put a young Steph Curry in a system where it did not favor him the way that the Warriors have favored Curry. Because Trae Young has all the skills to catch and shoot, to run fast, to come off screens, to make the play. And honestly, I do believe that even with everything being said, Trae Young still has made the best out of the situation. He has not been given the opportunity to play with another great player who actually complements him 100%. And the only player who he got was Clint Capella. And Clint Capella fell off of a cliff after a few seasons with Trae Young due to the fact that his age and his skill level are just not there anymore. What I am trying to say is that the Hawks are good. They look good. They feel, like they're an actual presence in the NBA. But when it comes down to it, I do believe that we have to be harsh in criticism about this team. They are not great. They haven't done anything for Trae that I would want a team of mine to do for their superstar. And even if it would be just putting above average players around him and having a great coach which can make everything work together, that could probably be enough to win some games. Because if Utah can do it, if Utah can win 12 games out of 14 just because they changed and explored rotations and sets and plays, then definitely the Atlanta Hawks with Trae Young can. Now, does he like playing like that? Obviously. And does he like the system that they run? I have no idea. But in my opinion, when you treat a superstar and you just basically tell them, like, please do something, and then give them the ball, they will go and they will give it their all to try to do as much as they can. And he's done everything. He produces the most for your team. He does it every single night. And just because he's not Luka Doncic, which is 6'9", he can see over everybody. And apart from being great, Luka also has a lot of defensive deficiencies. The only problem is that, the only difference is that you can hide Luka because he's so big, but you can't hide Trae Young. So in my opinion, yes, stop comparing him to Luka. They're not even close, and they have similar career accomplishments when it comes to how far they've gotten in the playoffs. And apart from the fact that obviously Luka is just better at playing basketball, I do believe that Trae Young gets disrespected too much for the reasons that he doesn't deserve. He's great, but I think he's just stuck in the wrong franchise.